So in the Second World War, the US military wanted to develop a guidance system for missiles. So obviously modern missiles have guidance systems in it, so they can be guided to exactly where they're targeted to hit. But in the Second World War, they didn't have that level of technology. So they were trying to develop a level of technology that they could fire a missile at a specific target and know that it would hit it. And they had this incredible idea. They thought, do you know what we'll do? We'll use pigeons. We'll use pigeons. They chose pigeons because pigeons have incredible eyesight. And they decided to put the pigeons in the front of the missiles to guide the missiles into the targets. The only problem is they had to, the first thing they had to come up with was a system to make the pigeon be able to actually guide a missile. And they came up with a system, a way to do that, and it was through the pigeons pecking. And they figured out a way to make it that a missile, when it got fired at a target, would turn and change direction according to where the pigeon pecked its beak. And so they came up with that system. The only problem is they had to figure out a way to make the pigeon peck its beak in the right place in order to guide the missile into the target. This, by the way, isn't an actual picture of the whole system. This is just what AI thought it might look like, a pigeon dropping missiles, which I guess they do in some ways. But this is just illustrative purposes. So anyway, they came up with the system, they had the bomb, they had the guidance thing, they just needed to train the pigeon to steer the missile. And so they got an American behavioral psychologist called P.F. Skinner involved. If you've done GCSE psychology, you may remember that Skinner did lots of behavioral experiments on things like rats. Well, he also did things on pigeons. What he did was he got some pigeons, I don't know how many, in a laboratory. I don't quite know what it looked like. And pigeons we've seen them in London, they walk around pecking the floor looking for food, right? You see them walking around bobbing their heads and they'll peck the floor, look for food. And the system they set up was, there was a picture of an enemy military tank in the cage where the pigeons were. And when they were pecking around, and when they on the floor like they would, if they accidentally pecked on the picture of the tank, some grain was released. So this is called reinforcement. They reinforced pecking the picture of the tank by giving a reward, giving it some grain. And so the pigeons, after a little while, learned, if I want to eat, I need to peck this picture of the tank. So all the pigeons would peck the picture of the tank. And then they changed the parameters. So it wasn't just the tank in general, it was the very center of the tank. And if the pigeon pecked the very center of the tank, some grain would be released, and that would reward the behavior and reinforce the behavior of pecking the center of the tank. So that's what began to happen. When this group of pigeons saw a picture of a tank, they'd fly to the center of the tank and start pecking. Then they changed the parameters again so that it was every second time the pigeon pecked, and then every third time, and every fifth time, and every 10th time. Basically, they taught these pigeons that if they saw a picture of a tank, to fly to the picture of the tank and peck furiously at the center of the picture of the tank, non-stop. And then they took the pigeons and placed them in the front of a missile and fired them towards the tank. And when they saw it, using their incredible eyesight, they begin pecking the middle of the tank, thinking, I'm going to get a reward here. I'm going to get some grain. The tank's getting closer and closer. Bang, boom, dead. There was no emergency ejector seat for the pigeon to fly out just before the missile hit the tank. The pigeon was the first thing to explode. How is this a picture of our relationship to finances, especially in London? Well, because London is such a finance-focused city where we are told that we need more. We need more. We need to get more. We'll get happiness, that we'll get a sense of completion. We'll get a sense of fulfillment as soon as we get more. As soon as we get that next job, then we'll feel completed. As soon as we get that next pay rise, then we'll feel completed. As soon as our Christmas bonus comes in, then we'll be happy. As soon as we get the corner office, as soon as we get the promotion after that, as soon as we switch companies from this company to that company that's got a better reputation, then we'll have achieved. As soon as we get the next level, whether it's the master's degree, the PhD, we get the right internship, we get the right second master's degree, once we get that job title, or we buy the flat in the city, or we get the house outside in the countryside so we can travel in, then we'll be complete. Then we'll be happy. We're told that this is where we get the reward. Just like a pigeon pecking in a cage on the picture of a military tank, hoping that they'll get a reward, we too are pecking, trying to get the reward that we've been promised in terms of finances. But the bad news is, I think similarly to the pigeon, it's like we're in the front of a missile flying towards our own destruction. I don't think if we're seeking reward and fulfillment in finances, we're going to get it. I think what we're going to end up with is it's a big bang. And just like the pigeon, there's no escaping it.